You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Welcome back to another edition of Product Thursday.
Hello there.
Whether you're listening to this on a commute, squeezing in a set at the gym, and let's be honest, this is a safe space.
Oh no.
Hiding in a supply closet to avoid yet another alignment meeting, we are glad you're here.
Please tell me you aren't actually hiding in a closet right now.
Hey, sometimes you need a moment of zen. The acoustics are surprisingly good. But seriously, we have a packed agenda today.
I can imagine.
But before we get to the fun stuff, like why you should treat your software like a pizza tracker, I have to drop a statistic on you that honestly just stopped me in my tracks.
Oh, what'd you find this week?
So there's a recent report from Atlassian. They interviewed over 1,000 product professionals, US and Europe, and the headline number is, it's startling. 84% of product managers are sure their products will fail.
84%.
84.
That's incredibly bleak.
Right. It sounds like a massive collective case of imposter syndrome or just, existential dread.
Well, let's unpack that. On the surface, it sounds like pure pessimism. But if you look deeper at the structural issues in the industry right now, it's not just doom and gloom for the sake of it.
No.
It points to a real crisis in how we define success. If the majority of people building the future think the future is going to break, well, that tells you something.
It tells you they feel like they're on a treadmill that's going way too fast.
Exactly. Too much pressure on execution, not enough on strategy.
Exactly. And honestly, I found myself wondering, am I part of that 84%? Or am I in the, delusional 16% who thinks everything is going to be great? It's a fine line.
It is a very fine line.
But that's what we do here on The Vocal Technologist. We take that fear, we stare it down, and we figure out how to navigate it.
Precisely. And the way out of that fear isn't just, positive thinking. It's about changing the mechanics of how we build.
So here's the roadmap for today. We're going to explore the AI paradox, why execution has suddenly become cheap, and the dangerous trap that creates, something called vibe prototyping.
I love that term.
Then we're going to talk about systems of action and why the Domino's Pizza Tracker is actually the gold standard for modern software.
It's a surprisingly deep metaphor for software architecture.
It really is. And finally, we'll look at the human layer, why coordination is so expensive, and wrap up with the rise of agent experience, or AX. So buckle up.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with this concept of the AI paradox. We read a fascinating piece that argues AI has fundamentally made execution cheap.
This is a massive shift.
Yeah.
If you think about the last 20 years of software development, the constraint was always engineering hours.
Always.
Building the thing was the hard part. It was expensive, it took time, and required, huge teams.
Right. You had to ration your ideas because you could only build so many of them. The backlog was just a graveyard of good ideas that cost too much to code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now, with AI coding assistants and generative tools, the cost of generating code, copy, interfaces, it's just plummeting.
Execution's becoming a commodity.
Right. So the risk has shifted. The risk is no longer, can we build this? The risk is, should we build this?
Which brings us to decision-making. If building is easy, deciding what to build becomes the most expensive thing you do.
Correct. And this changes what good work even looks like. It used to be that a high-performing team was one that shipped features fast.
Velocity was the metric, yeah.
But now, if you just ship fast without clarity, you're just flooding your users with junk. Good work is now about proving outcomes before you commit to the code.
But, and here's where it gets really interesting, this ease of creation has birthed a new villain. The text calls it vibe prototyping.
Vibe prototyping. I love this term, even though I hate what it represents.
It sounds cool, right?
Right.
Check out the vibes on this app. But define it for us. What is the trap here? Because on the surface, a prototype that feels real, that seems like a good thing.
It seems like a good thing, but it's so dangerous. So vibe prototyping is when you use AI tools to quickly generate something that looks like a finished product.
High fidelity, it looks great.
Right. It has the right aesthetic. It feels real, but it's hollow.
It's the illusion of progress.
Exactly. It creates a false sense of confidence. You show it to stakeholders, and they go, wow, we're almost done. Look, the button clicks. The animation is so smooth. But you haven't actually done the hard work of
problem framing.
Yeah. You haven't thought about edge cases, data structures, or any system limitations. You've just painted a pretty picture.
It's like building a movie set facade of a house and trying to live in it. Looks great from the street, but there's no plumbing, no insulation.
If you lean on the wall, you fall right through it. That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
The danger is that it erodes the systems that make good design possible.
Right.
You skip the rigor, the data modeling, the user flow logic, because the AI gave you a shortcut to the visual result.
And you end up with shallow output. You launch it, and it immediately breaks because it wasn't built on a foundation of reality.
So wait, are we saying we shouldn't use AI for prototyping at all? Because that feels like leaving a superpower on the table.
No, not at all. You should use it, but you have to use it correctly. The counterpoint is a lean approach to AI.
Okay, break that down. How is that different?
Most AI initiatives fail because they optimize for the demo.
The hype.
Exactly. Look, the chatbot can write a poem. Great. Does it solve a user problem?
Probably not, unless your user specifically needs bad poetry.
Right. A lean approach means treating AI as a product capability, not a magic trick. You build it through small experiments. You look for real feedback.
And measurable business impact.
And there's a distinction here, right, between vibe prototyping and AI prototyping.
Yes, AI prototyping is valid. That's where you use AI to turn a behavioral idea into a functional product to test it immediately. You aren't doing it to impress an executive with how pretty it looks.
No.
You're doing it to see if the functionality actually changes user behavior.
So vibe prototyping is about, look at this, and AI prototyping is about, use this.
Precisely. One is marketing, the other is validation. One is about the aesthetic, the other is about the utility.
I love that distinction. Okay, so we've established that we need to be careful about how we build avoiding the fake vibes. Now let's talk about what we build.
Okay.
And this leads us to my favorite part of the stack this week, the Domino's pizza tracker.
I never thought we'd be discussing pizza logistics in an analysis of software architecture, but here we are.
But it makes so much sense. The concept here is systems of action. The reading draws this line between old school systems of record and modern systems of action. Walk us through that.
Right. So historically, software was a filing cabinet. It was a database.
Yeah.
You put information in, you took information out. That's a system of record.
The CRM, a spreadsheet.
Exactly. An inventory list. These are digital records. They are static.
Boring.
Yeah.
Necessary, but boring. It's just digital paperwork.
Exactly. But the Domino's pizza tracker changed the game. Think about it. It didn't just tell you that you ordered a pepperoni pizza.
No.
It tracked the workflow. Dough is being tossed. Pizza's in the oven. Quality check in progress.
Quality check in progress. I always wonder what they're checking. Is the pepperoni symmetrical?
We can speculate on the rigorous pizza standards later, but the point is, the value wasn't in the data record user ordered pizza. The value was in the action and the visibility of that action.
Right.
The software was owning the workflow. It was reducing user anxiety by showing them exactly what was happening in real time.
So the takeaway here is that the future of software isn't just storing data.
It's executing workflows.
Yes.
If you want to differentiate your product, don't just build a place to store things. Build a system that does things.
The value comes from the action taken, not the record kept.
It turns the product from a passive tool into an active partner.
And this connects to another piece of advice we found. Don't solve problems that don't exist. Because I feel like when we try to build these complex systems, we sometimes over-engineer the wrong parts.
This is huge. When we're uncertain, and remember that 84% fear of failure stat we started with, we tend to overcomplicate things as a defense mechanism.
It's productive procrastination.
Totally. We invent problems to solve because it feels like work. Like, I need to design a complex tagging system for this database when the user just wants to click buy.
Exactly.
Real progress is focusing on the single task that creates value. And there was that striking link, how I bankrupted 2 companies.
A cheerful title, but I assume it wasn't about financial fraud.
No, it was about focus. The author argued that fear-driven indecision and over-analysis were far more damaging than just choosing the wrong path.
That's profound. We think that making the wrong choice is the fatal error. But actually, sitting around debating the perfect choice while you burn cash.
That's what kills you. Better to move, learn, and iterate than to freeze. Action creates information. Stagnation just creates anxiety.
And this actually segues perfectly into the human layer of our discussion, because often what causes that freezing isn't technical limitations, it's people.
Ah, yes. The squishy, complicated human layer.
One of the articles put it very bluntly, coordination is expensive.
It really is. We tend to think of meetings, emails, and Slack messages as free, because we don't see a price tag on them. But they represent a massive tax on productivity.
It's the cost of alignment.
Right. Management layers, glue work, alignment meetings. This is all friction. It's necessary friction to some degree, but it scales so poorly. As you add more people, the cost of coordination increases exponentially, not linearly.
And small inefficiencies just compound. It's like if it takes everyone 5 extra minutes to log into a system or 10 extra minutes to find a document.
Across a 100-person team, that's just massive waste.
So the argument is it worth investing serious time to remove routine friction?
Absolutely, yes. Because when many people repeat the same task, tiny improvements pay off structurally. If you can shave 10% off the coordination tax, you unlock massive capacity for actual work.
Speaking of structural improvements, there was a specific leadership tip that I found really compelling about who should be in the room where it happens.
Yes, the advice was, include senior engineers in leadership meetings.
Not just the engineering managers.
No, actual senior engineers, the builders, the people with their hands on the keyboard.
Why is that distinction so critical?
Because it keeps leadership grounded in reality. If you only have abstract management in the room, people who haven't touched code in 5 years, you start making decisions based on timelines and budgets that have no basis in physical reality.
You get magic wand management.
We need this feature by Tuesday.
Yeah.
And the manager says, sure. But having an engineer there creates accountability. They could say, actually, physics doesn't work that way, or that database migration is going to take 3 months, not 3 days, and here's why.
It anchors the strategy and execution.
But there's a flip side here. If engineers are going to be in those high-level meetings, they can't just speak code.
They need to communicate effectively with the non-technical leaders.
And that brings us to the mighty metaphor.
I love a good metaphor.
Well, the author argues that strong metaphors are the ultimate API for communication. They allow executives to reason about technical trade-offs in their own language.
Like the technical debt is like financial debt metaphor. That's the classic one.
It's the classic one because it works.
Yeah.
You have to pay interest on it. If you don't pay it down, you go bankrupt. Suddenly, a CFO understands why you need to pause feature development to refactor code.
So it creates shared understanding instantly.
Exactly. If you can explain a complex server load issue by comparing it to a checkout line at a grocery store, suddenly the CEO understands why you need to open more registers or add more servers.
It saves hours of technical explanation and frustration.
It's a translation layer.
Now we also have to talk about the intensity dial. This was about soft skills and communication style, specifically for conflict.
This is for the people who struggle with how to push back. The best communicators don't just flip a switch from nice to angry.
No.
They treat intensity like a dial.
So you escalate deliberately?
Yes. You turn it up to drive change, but you do it in a way that doesn't break trust. You don't explode. You just increase the pressure until the blockage clears.
It's about control.
It shows you are serious, but you are still safe to work with.
I like that. It's not about losing your temper. It's about using intensity as a tool.
Precisely.
Okay, let's pivot to the final stretch here. We've talked about the product, the process, and the people. Now let's talk about you, the listener, and your career.
Okay.
There was a very simple yet powerful piece of advice in the readings. Go where the action is.
It sounds cliche, but the logic is sound. Putting yourself at the center of your industry accelerates serendipity.
Accelerate serendipity. I like that. What does that look like practically?
It means you cannot replicate the learning you get from being in the thick of it if you are standing on the margins. If you are in a hub city or working on the specific technology that everyone is talking about, like LLMs right now, opportunities just collide with you. The water cooler talk is actually high-level strategy. You learn by osmosis.
So don't sit on the sidelines waiting for the textbook to be written. Go write it.
Exactly. And speaking of those opportunities, there was a note about hiring trends. Specifically in the startup market, health tech was mentioned, but it applies widely.
Yeah.
Who are the winners right now?
Yeah, this was interesting. The winners aren't necessarily the people with the perfect resumes.
No. The market has shifted. In this environment, nobody cares about your polished resume or your cool job title from 5 years ago. They want to know, can you build? Do you have a point of view? And do you have the agency to get it done?
That word agency keeps coming up. It feels like the theme of the year.
It does. They're looking for opinionated builders, people who don't wait for permission. And that leads us to the biggest future trend we need to discuss.
The next big thing.
On the horizon. Agent experience, or AX.
We've spent a decade obsessing over UX user experience. Making buttons clicky, colors nice, fonts readable for human eyes. What is AX?
Well, imagine a world where the primary user of your product isn't a human.
It's a bot.
It's an AI agent. We are moving to a world where AI agents will be booking flights, ordering supplies, managing calendars, negotiating prices.
So if I have a website that sells tickets, my customer might be an AI running on someone's phone.
Exactly. And if your product is hard for a bot to navigate, you become invisible.
So UX is about visual hierarchy and emotion. What is AX optimizing for?
Access, context, and orchestration. Can an API read your site? Is the data structured in a way a machine can parse like JSON?
Can an agent orchestrate a workflow through your software without getting stuck on a CAPTCHA or a weird pop-up?
Exactly that. It's wild to think about. We're building software for software.
That is the future. If you ignore AX, you might find yourself with a beautiful product that no one uses because the agents can't see it.
You're building a library that the robots can't enter.
So the designers of tomorrow aren't just thinking about eye tracking, they're thinking about API latency and context windows.
Precisely. It fundamentally changes the requirements. You aren't optimizing for a human's attention span anymore. You're optimizing for a machine's logic processing.
So what does this all mean? Let's recap this journey. We started with the fear of failure, that 84% statistic. We realized that while AI makes execution cheap, we have to avoid the vibe prototyping trap of fake progress.
We learned to love the Domino's pizza tracker because it represents a system of action, not just a record.
Right. And we discussed the cost of coordination and why senior engineers need a seat at the table to prevent that magic wand management.
But we finished by realizing we need to prepare our careers by going where the action is and prepare our products for a future where the customer might be an AI agent.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But the through line is clear. It's about substance over style. Real workflows, real agency, real building.
It is. But I think it gives us a clear path forward.
If I could leave the listener with one final provocative thought, it would be about that word we touched on. Agency. There was a note we read that said, don't trust the process.
Oh, that's controversial. We love our processes. Agile, Scrum, Kanban.
But it's valid. Processes are safety nets. But rapid prototyping, curation, and actual decision-making matter more than blindly following a methodology.
Okay.
The question I want you to ask yourself is, are you hiding behind a process? Are you checking boxes because it feels safe? Or are you using true agency to drive an outcome?
Because in a world of cheap execution...
Agency is the only thing that's scarce.
Oof. That is a good one to chew on. Are you driving or are you just riding along?
Exactly.
Well, on that note, we are going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for plugging into this edition of Product Thursday.
Always a pleasure.
Keep building, keep the vibes honest, and we will see you next time.
Spoken Tech for your ears.